Since a lot of people only watch the first 30 seconds of a video or read a title and just assume they know everything about the video and the person who made it, I should start by saying I love Spider-Man. I really do. In fact, I've loved all three live-action versions of him in different ways. I've memed on Garfield a little bit because I don't think his second movie was well written. I think that Sony interfered a lot and really hurt the movie, but overall, I like all three of these guys. I love Tobey Maguire, I love Andrew Garfield, I love Tom Holland. I know none of them in real life, and I have no more ownership over the character of Spider-Man than anyone else. I understand that my opinions on the character are not gospel. They are not the end-all be-all. If I think something about Spider-Man, it does not mean that everybody else has to think it. If I like Tobey Maguire more than I like Andrew, or I like Tom more than I like Tobey in this role, not everyone has to feel that same way. And that's okay. And that's why I wanted to talk today about why people hate Spider-Man fans in general. Probably even you, the person watching. If you said, I'm a Spider-Man fan, if you're online, especially on certain platforms, people immediately think bad things about you. And yesterday kind of proved why. Now, I know that YouTube has removed the ability to see likes and dislikes from a lot of people, and you'll have to trust me when I say that I did get more likes than dislikes on my video. This is not about that. I can even show that if you want, because a lot of people think you're making that up if you don't show them. But with this take I had on the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, I started with just saying, hey, I really love this character. I'm excited for this movie. But here's why I don't think this marketing is good. Here's why I think it's silly to keep cutting out what is essentially the worst kept secret in Hollywood. Why are we still pretending that no one knows they're here? Maybe, and some people had reasonable responses. Some people had reasonable takes like, hey, well, maybe, it's a better thing to reveal in the movie, which I'd say, yeah, if we didn't have 500,000 leaks at this point, I would 100% agree. And if the UK wasn't going to see it early and then obviously someone's going to spoil it online, I totally agree with you. In a perfect world, I don't want to know much anything. It'd be great to see it in the theater, but we don't live in that world. And I put that take out there and people got real mad. And this video is not just about me. I'm using this example to try and explain something the best I can with my horribly allergy-laden voice. And that is that people don't like Spider-Man fans in general because they see them as narcissistic, angry, insecure, and the exact opposite of the hero that they basically jerk off. I don't think this of most Spider-Man fans personally. I think that most people are very nice, and I think this breaks down to actually what someone on my Patreon said who was talking to me, where they said, I don't remember if they were talking to me or who they were talking to. It was in the YouTube comments, but it was somebody who does follow me on Patreon, which shout out to you. Thank you. I believe it was Seth. Thank you. Who said that the Spider-Man fandom is so massive that if even 15% of it is toxic or rude or just douchey and resorts to name calling and getting angry immediately, that it comes off like it is a huge portion of the fan base, or that Spider-Man fans in general are toxic. And that is the general understanding online, is that Spider-Man fans are toxic. You even see it on Twitter. I know I always go back to Twitter, but this is where a lot of the comic book, takes are seen. There is a meme among Spider-Man fans on Twitter, whether you're a Garfield fan, a Tobey fan, you're a fan of Tom, or you hate live action and you're like a 90s Spider-Man or comics guy or whatever. And the meme that everyone has in common is all Spider-Man fans have one thing in common. They all hate Spider-Man. And that's what's really funny to me about this fandom as a group. And you do have to generalize, because there is no way to pick out millions of people and say, well, Bob, Tom, Carrie, and Adrian, specifically feel this way, without doxing people or me showing comments. If you want to go look at the shit show that I'm talking about, go read the comments from yesterday's video. I personally did not remove a single one. If anybody removed theirs, it was them either backtracking and removing it, or a mod saw something actually horrible, like hate crime levels, dropping the N-word type stuff, and pulled it out of there. But it is all still there. People get so mad, and I even noticed the anger around this just very inconspicuous minor take about a marketing team at Sony or Marvel. It led to backlash on Twitter where somebody was trying to grasp at straws and reach back to my video I said about not liking the Tim Drake being bisexual storyline and saying I thought it was handled poorly and calling me homophobic because I didn't like this Spider-Man trailer decision. Like, well, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? Like, where does that kind of thing end? And it's something I see all the time online. You know, people go after Star Wars fans really hard. They always say, like, oh, the prequel fans are toxic, or, the Reylos, they're so toxic. Those sequel fans are terrible. The OT elitists, those people who only love the Star Wars original trilogy, and they just are stuck in the past, those boomers. They can't open their mind to new stuff and what George Lucas wanted. You know, these people go after each other hard like it's a religion. And like their entire personality is caught up in that thing. And there is nothing wrong with defending what you like. There's nothing wrong with getting irritated about it. Hey, I got irritated that I said, you know, I think that the trailer decision to not have Tobey or Andrew in this is just silly to me. Like, we can even see a shot where they were clearly CGI editing out characters. Unless, like, Lizard in this universe is half brain dead and he just attacks the air for no reason. They clearly are removing things from the trailer. Even takes like that get people jumping down your throat, trying to find, like, skeletons in your closet and grasp at straws to make you look bad and just be constantly angry at you. I've seen this all the time online with creators who cover Spider-Man way more than me. People like Godzilla Mendoza or even Matt McMuscles, where people will shit all over them because they have a take that's different than them. And at the end of the day, this is just a fictional character. It's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to think, well, Jay, maybe you don't understand who Spider-Man is. Here, let me tell you what I think. That's fine. You can think that. But when it hits the point of, like, you're a homophobe, you're a bigot, you're a dick, I hate you, kill yourself, you know, all this stuff, right? Or you're getting threats, or, you know, even people get mad when I bring them up. A channel like Clownfish TV on here, where they get, like, threats and shit all the time levied at them, at their family and stuff, for things they say about the entertainment industry. And to me, it's one of those things where, like, look, if you don't like them, cool, that's fine. I don't really personally care. If you don't like me, that's fine. You know, I've been on here for a couple years now. I've gotten a lot of backlash for certain things, and my takes are not perfect. That's okay. We can talk about those. But when it comes down to things like, oh, you're a cuck and an ignorant bitch and all this stuff, and just whining and nagging at each other, almost like this is some kind of religious zealotry war, it really comes off to me as sad and pathetic. And I think that that's how people view Spider-Man fans. Now, personally, I don't think most Spider-Man fans are like that. But I do think that it's sad. I saw a comment that really kind of struck a chord with me yesterday when I, you know, released the video about the trailer, where someone said, you know, it's really ironic and sad how much of the fandom that loves Spider-Man is nothing like him. And I get that it's a fictional character, but there is a reason we all love this guy, right? I'm assuming. Like, his bravery, his heroism, his responsibility, his intelligence, his willingness to do what needs to be done. I mean, like what Spider-Man 2 said, sometimes a hero has to give up the thing they want their most, even their dreams, you know, to do the right thing. These are the reasons we like Spider-Man. And at the end of the day, he's an all-around cool guy with a flashy costume who kicks ass and lots of girls are into. I mean, I get the teenage guy reason for liking Spider-Man 2. He's just dope. You just start to understand more and more the older you get how deep that character is. But it's crazy to me how little, like this comment said, that the fandom is like who Peter Parker is. How little they actually emulate the qualities that make Peter Parker special. Heroism, being open to new ideas, not lashing out in anger immediately, not alienating the people around you on purpose. It's kind of like a big portion of the Spider-Man fandom doesn't understand who Spider-Man is, and if they do, they're just not good people. That's the general understanding online, and I sadly think that to some extent with certain people, it's true. Now, you don't have to prove anything to me. You know, I have my own ideas about Spider-Man. I have my own ideas about fandom in general. I actually hate it. believe it or not. I hate fandom. Whether you are in a fandom of Spider-Man or a fandom of DC Comics or Batman or Star Wars or whatever, I think it's dumb. And here's why. I think it leads to mob mentality. I think it leads to people lashing out at each other, ending up in mini online, almost gangs of thought. You see it all the time. Again, the original trilogy elitists or the Tobey Maguire, everyone else who's played Spider-Man sucks fandom. All those people who are so hardcore and dug into the trenches on their thing. I just think fandom often leads to extreme fandom, and I hate that. I love being a fan of something. I love everything I talk about on this channel. But Eminem really introduced the idea to me, I can't believe I'm doing this, of a stan. You know, someone who is so into the thing that, like, they are mentally unhinged. And I think that far too often with the internet and with other people, fandom is allowed to blossom into being a stan to the point where it's unhealthy, encourages anger, does not take into consideration anyone else's feelings or ideas, and leads to a heavy narcissism on the idea that your take is best and everybody else who doesn't have that take can go fuck themselves.
Some of your fans are too young to know that Eminem's the one who made the word stan.
Well, he didn't make the word, but he popularized it.
Yeah. Stalker fan is what it means for those who don't know.
But I just think that it's sad, you know, to see that kind of behavior. And at the end of the day, I will say one more time, because I like to repeat myself. I don't think most Spider-Man fans are even like this. I think most are very nice people who love this character because, one, he's cool, and two, he's a role model. He's somebody they want to be like. He's somebody that they want to emulate. And he's someone who, like Aunt May said, can kind of show us the hero in all of us. But I just think it's funny how a small, angry portion of this fandom gives the entire thing a bad name. Like I said, you don't have to prove anything to me. I have my ideas already about it. I'm telling you from my perspective online what I've experienced and why I think other people hate Spider-Man fans. If you want to prove something to anybody, you know, don't be a dick. That's literally what I always say. You know, even for me, I get I have my bad takes, but at the end of the day, I try my best, even when it is really hard, to not outright be mean to someone on purpose, to not outright ignore the feelings of others on purpose, but while still saying what I believe, while not compromising who I am and sharing my thoughts on the thing. You don't have to be a yes man, but you don't have to be a narcissistic prick with nothing else going on in your life. And I think that it's really easy to fall into that trap, to stay in your room all day long, to watch Spider-Man 3 on repeat, and then to go online and bash everybody who doesn't like Spider-Man 3 or something like that. There's no point. You're not impressing anybody. It makes people hate you. It makes people hate this character. It turned people off to Batman. I know he's super popular, but the idea that Batman can beat anybody and no one can have a conversation about his limits turns people off to the character, and you lose more fans. And maybe you don't care, but you will when that character is no longer popular or relevant because you were a prick. The person I'm talking to who made it this far in the video, you're probably not that way, because you're probably open-minded enough that you sat and listened to 14 minutes of this, or you fell asleep, which, hey, thanks for the watch time. But I just found it silly. I wanted to talk about it. Might rustle some feathers. Rustle? I don't know. But, it is what it is. This is what I think. This is why people think this. And I think only as fans of these things, only we can change that perception. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. What are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on other fandoms? I'm interested. Again, for the 5,000th time, I don't think all Spider-Man fans are like this. If you need me to put it in writing, I will, but I don't. I just think that it's a sad, easy perception to have from being online. Interested to hear your thoughts. Please be sure to check out everything in the description down below, as well as our secondary channel, which is down there where we hang out with you guys. Have a fantastic day. Thanks for sticking it out to the end. You're one of the real ones. And as always, stay shway.